This is MoneyPigTrading. Welcome. And today we're going to talk about Wulin Motors, WLMTF. You might not have not heard about this stock. It actually just got listed in US OTC back to, I think, the end of November 2020. It's actually the best auto, it is the auto manufacturer of the best selling EV in China. And let's talk about whether it has more room to the upside. And again, just to begin with, MoneyPigTrading is not a registered financial advisor, so take this information as your own risk. And please make sure you do your own due diligence and take this info as education purposes. And first, just to highlight, we actually published this article on SeekingAlpha today, December 29, 2020. But we actually wrote it like back to December 26. Take a few days to get approved and published. So just to summarize, Wuling is actually a 20 years old auto company based in Guangxi, China, and actually produced the best-selling EV, Wuling Mini EV in China, together with General Motors, GM. And currently is valued at $2 billion, which is way lower than competitors like Lead at $26 billion. If you want to invest it right now, there are definitely some risk over there, like FOMO, accounting, earning reporting frequency, the volatility of the US OTC market. If you don't have time, you can drop up here. That's the key information that I want to bring it to you. But let's break down. First, let's look at the bullish factor, right? It actually produced this best-selling EV, Wulin Mini EV, together with GM. This unit is amazing, $5,000 to about $7,000-$8,000 per car. They even have model without AC. If you don't have budgets, without AC is about $5,000 per car. Amazing, right? And the stock actually just got listed. And right now, today, when we wrote the article, it was December 28th when we screenshot, or 27. It was trading at $31, 0.31 per share. December 28 actually pushed to 60 cents per share. Today, December 29 actually dropped back to about 45 cents a share. It's a typical US OTC market, very volatile. Not to mention December 29 is the last day for tax loss sales. People are taking profits, etc. For tax purposes. However, this Wuling, because it has been a 20 years old auto company, right? So actually has been listed in Hong Kong Exchange for quite a while. And this year actually went out about 1,200, 1,300% so far. And the symbol is 0305.HK, just for your information. So I've been talking to some China auto industry experts, including my former lead auto designer friend who used to work in NIO. They all agree this Wulin Mini EV will continue to be the best-selling EV in China, at least in the near future, right? Because the mainland China government will still continue this EV-friendly policy. Like we mentioned in the last video, if you have a EV, you will get a green license plate, only have green license plate. And if you don't register your car in major cities like Shanghai without a green license plate, you cannot go to Shanghai downtown. You cannot drive your car to Shanghai downtown. That actually encouraged a lot of people who live around the Beijing, Shanghai and Guangzhou metro areas, which have implemented those green license plate policy to purchase EV cars. And that's why EV sales is booming right now, right? And also Wulin's design is really crazy, right? So compact, so cheap, while it does all the jobs. And also not to mention, like I recall, they actually focus on their target customers very well. Like most of the customers only drive the car about 1 to 2 hours driving distance away, like 100 kilograms. Sorry, not kilograms, kilometer. It's kind of late. I cannot talk. Kilogram. 100 kilometer, right? So they actually don't put a lot of batteries, and that's why the unit can be so cheap. And also because there's not a lot of batteries, but still enough to cover their commutes for their customers. They can be finished charging, I recall, 30 minutes or something for the whole battery to be charged. So it's pretty fast. But don't quote me if I'm wrong for the numbers. So it's really, really competitive. And not to mention, there's a huge amount of lower income or middle class, or even some rich people who doesn't want to spend a lot of money on their cars, right? Because you have to switch car all the time if you have a gas vehicle in China. Because there's an environmental regulation policy, pretty much you have to change your car every 4 or 5 years. So oftentimes people are like, why not just buy a cheaper car? I have to replace it anyway very frequently. come relatively frequently compared to other countries like China, U.S. or Canada, right? So definitely a huge market. They're hitting it. That's why they have been the best-selling EV in China. For September, October, and November 2020. And November 2020, they even outrun the Tesla Model 3, which is pretty crazy. Of course, even though you said, okay, Model 3 sells, Tesla sell like 20,000 units, Model 3 way better margin than 35,000 of units of Wulin Mini EV, right? But I think everyone will agree like the sale records will continue to grow up. You know, my model suggests by May next year it could grow to 70 to 80,000 units per month. That's the Wuling Mini EV sales record. But that's the time series model I built. It's not very reliable because I only have 3 months of data, September, October, November. Not to mention we didn't bake in a lot of potential EV policy shifting, which can happen all the time. COVID is still on the horizon. Hopefully not happening again in China or any part of the world. But if it does come back to China, it could affect the EV sales. Again, finger crossed, hopefully it won't happen. So yeah, I think there's just a very rough estimate on our side, but we do think, it does have a lot of, China domestic demand growth opportunities. And the second part is the global expansion on the horizon. Wulin actually started to produce international markets with some 20,000 silver label cars they call. That's a new sedan. They also mentioned on their website they have sport cars and SUV models coming up. Full EVs, which they have been producing a lot of trucks in the past, so they are very experienced and high quality, reliable quality auto manufacturer. Even though some people criticize their design is not fashionable whatsoever, but at least the quality is pretty decent, right? And they have been around 20 years. GM has done their due diligence. And actually, worth mentioning is they actually produced 22 million cars in their company history. They reached that level in May 2020. So it's definitely a very legit company with a lot of experience, know what they're doing. GM done the due diligence, doing a partnership with Wulin to produce that mini EV. And looking at the valuation, if you really value Li at $26 billion, right? Look at the WLMTF Wulin is only at $2 billion right now. Xiaopeng's at $30 billion, NIO's at $71 billion, and Tesla is at $627 billion. Right, so and consider Wulin actually sell more cars than Li and can actually produce the same amount of car as Li. Why don't we value Wulin the same as Li? Then that will make Wulin about 100% higher to about $8 a share. However, there are definitely some risk, right? First is FOMO, like I mentioned. If we look at the Wulin listed in Hong Kong, it's trading about $2.38 Hong Kongese dollars. And it has been up 1,300%. And if we're looking at the US OTC price, 31 cents per share, that's about the same price in Hong Kongese dollars. So that means if we buy a US OTC today at 31 cents per share, that means we're buying into a stock that has been up 1,300% so far this year. So consider that as kind of FOMO, right? But if you look at other China EV player names, their valuation is also FOMO. So that's why I said this is a name kind of tricky to judge. It's fundamental, and there are more factors coming I'm going to describe here. The second risk is accounting. If you look at their financial reports, they will always say unaudited. So a lot of, if not any, most or all mainland China, companies listed in Hong Kong Exchange, their accounting data are not audited. There are some breakthrough. Hong Kong Exchange started to get some auditing data. Actually, I don't think I provide the link here because SeekingAlpha doesn't allow me. But yeah, there was a Bloomberg article saying that there's some breakthrough. They started to get audited process. Hopefully they can get all, if not most of those companies audited. But in their earnings report, they clearly said most of the numbers are not audited. So if you want to do any fundamental analysis on this unaudited number, the analysis might not be very solid, right? And the other concern is their earning report frequency, right? They only report their earnings every May and September. So this May 2020, they actually reported 230 million loss of RMB because their sales was affected by COVID. But the same period of YOY 2019, they actually had 12 million RMB of profits. What really concerns me is their best, selling record right now happened September, October, November this year, and probably December again, 2020, right? But we won't be able to see the official numbers, how these decent sale records affect their financial numbers until May 2021. That's a really long time without any official data guidance. So that's definitely another risk, and will be hard to judge the fundamental values because we're using the old number to build a fundamental old and audited number to build a fundamental analysis, right? To me, it just doesn't make a lot of sense. And also, not to mention, this stock right now is trading at US OTC. If you know OTC, right, it's very volatile. Like yesterday, it was up like was 100%. Today, it dropped 40%. Who knows what's going to happen tomorrow, right? And the other thing I don't like about US OTC is it's also called pink sheet market. It doesn't have any option contracts for us to hedge, so that just make holding this Wuling in as an OTC in the OTC market a little more tricky. So just a summary, the recommendation or at least my action is right now this week, today December 29th, is the last day for year-end tax loss. So we see some profit taking. I would love to see Wuling in US OTC to be traded as about 20 cents, 25 cents a share. And we'll definitely add more. Right now, I added some at like 40 cents per share, but I will definitely nibble it. If it drop, I will add more. And it's definitely a risky speculated play. I would recommend people, to hold the core play like 70, 80%. Like Apple, Facebook, those high growth stocks on top of some value plays. Like in our Discord community, we actually recommend like SPG, LADR, those high dividend stocks with solid values, right? And you should only keep like 5 to 20% of your portfolio into this more risky speculative place like this Wuling. I mean, if Wuling really grow into a stage that it has decent sales record, I mean, I'm happy to treat it as a core value play, a growth play, right? In the future, but not right now. Because of all this unknown factor, just to sum up, it's really hard to give a price target or a valuation estimation based on all these factors I just mentioned. But like I said, based on the model that we have built, we do think the car sales will probably double around May or June 2021. And hopefully that will also double their valuation, assuming they don't have any inventory, or some other loss whatsoever, or any other factors. Then we should see their valuation being double, and of course also double the share price to 1.2 a share sometime in the next 1 to 2 years. Also assuming there's no stock offering or dilution in the horizon, which actually should happen. So whether this 1.2 per share can happen in the next 1 to 2 years is heavily relying on the dilution happen or not, right? And based on the reference to other EV competitors, like we mentioned above, Wulin should be about $8.5 a share if we value it as the same as Lee, as $26 billion valuation, which means we still have about 1,300% of the upside. I also provide some technical Fibonacci extension target, which is 45 cents, 56 cents, and 70 cents per share. That's more like a short-term technical targets. I'm currently long very tiny size of Wuling. I might add it more in the future. Just an interesting name that I want to bring up. And yeah, that's pretty much it. And this year has been a great year. If you like our works, feel free to check us out on MoneyPigTrading.com. We have a paid membership service on Discord. Long-term investment so far this year, we have 39 trades. We have 89% winning rate. Each trades on average returns plus 23%, which is really decent. We also have day trading and swing trading, which focus more like short-term stock and option tradings. And if you like the video, feel free to leave a comments and follow us on YouTube and Twitter. It's all MoneyPig Trading, and also Instagram and Facebook as well. And thank you for watching, and wish you and your family happy holidays.